Okay, so this section is on polynomial inequalities. Okay, so instead of equations, they're going to be inequalities, and we're going to tell, and they're all quad. So we're going to be able to tell where part of the function is greater than or less than. Now, I will tell you this, the way that MathLab teaches this is extremely different than the way I'm going to teach it. Since we all know now what quads look like on the graph, right? They're always that U shape. And we know what their zeros mean. Those are their X-intercepts, where the U's cross the X-axis. Since we know that, we're going to use that knowledge to solve these problems. It's so much easier. And it makes more sense than the way, it makes more just logical sense seeing the picture than the way that MathLab teaches it. Okay, looking at number 1, it says solve the following inequality. We've got x plus 3, x plus 1. Is less than 0. All right, first things first.
X minus 3.
Oh, I do too. Sorry. I do too. So on this one, first of all, you want everything on one side, your inequality symbol, and the 0 on the other side. Okay? Now, this one's already in its factored form. What I'm going to do is find the X-intercepts or the zeros, which means, here's my factors. Just act like this is a regular equation that's going to make a U shape, okay? So it doesn't look like quad, but think about if this was foiled together. This X times X is what's going to make that X squared. So it is a U-shaped graph. Okay, it's just that it's in its factored form for me. So I can find its X-intercepts by setting the factors equal to 0 and solving them. So let's see, if I add the 3's to both sides here, X equals 3. Subtracting 1 from both sides here, so X equals -1. So let's draw that. So again, I know it's going to make a U shape, and it's going to be a right side up U, right? There's nothing on here. What would make the X squared or the U-shaped graph flip upside down? If the X squared is negative. That's what flips it upside down, right? If I foiled that, that's going to be a positive X squared. So I know it's a right side up U, and it's going to pass through the X-axis at these 2 points. So at -1. And at +3, that's all I really need to know, and the fact that it's right side up. So nothing else really matters on this. So just picture that. Now, it wants to know on what interval is the graph less than 0. Here's 0, your x-axis. So what part of the graph is less than 0? All that right there, right? That's the part of the graph that is below the x-axis in the negative area. So when I'm doing the interval notation, this is where we use the x's, right? That's what we use in interval notation. What part of it is below 0? Where does it start being below 0? What is this one's x? -1. It's all below 0 until it gets to here, because once it gets to 3, what does it do? It goes above 0, right? We want to know what is less than or below the 0. So where does it stop being below 0? 3. And that's it. So on number 1, I found the zeros or the solutions or the x-intercepts because it was in factored form and I set them equal to 0 and solved them for their x's. I put those points on the x-axis, and then I wanted to know, the 2 things I need to know is my u shape right side up or upside down? That just depends on what the x squared is, whether it's positive or negative. And then you want to look at this symbol. Does it want to know what is above the x-axis, which would have been a greater than symbol? Or does it want to know what's below the x-axis, which is, that's why this is less than 0. Well, this you always consider this your 0. Less than 0 means it wants to know what's below that. So that's why we used that interval of that U shape. Okay, let's look at number 2. All right, we're going to be using the quad program from here on out. So if you have your calculator, you might want to get it out. X squared minus 17x plus 66. And it wants to know where that is greater than 0. So positive x squared, so it's going to be a right side up u. I just need to find out where it passes through the x-axis, right? Because that's going to be my 0. This one's not in factored form. It doesn't show the 2 factors like the last one did, but it is x squared, so I can just use my quad to find the 2 solutions, or the 2 zeros. So using your quad, type in your A, B, and C, which will be 1, negative 17, and positive 66. Uh-oh. One, negative 17, and 66. So there are your zeros, 11 and 6. Those are your x-intercepts, the solutions to that quad equation. So 11 and 6 are where this parabola is going to cross through my x-axis. Positive 11 and positive 6. I'll move this over. So positive 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and positive 11. So it's going to cross through the x-axis in those 2 spots. Right side up. So here's my 0, right? This line right here, that's my 0. What does this one want to know? Where is this graph greater than 0 this time, which means above the x-axis? So let's see, here's my x-axis. This is below, right? Above the x-axis is there. It gets to here, and what does it do? It goes below the x-axis for a little bit, then it gets to here, and then what does it do again? Goes above it again. So there's 2 separate intervals where it's above 0 or greater than 0. So I'm going to put 2 intervals, right? The last one was below 0, so it was just from there to there. So I just had that 1 interval. I've got 2 separate intervals. So let's see, what does the arrow going to the left mean? Where is that interval going to start? Negative infinity. And it's going to be above 0 until it gets to here, which is 6. Now remember, this is where you put that in union with symbol, because that means, and I'm going to do another interval. So here, it goes below, 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 until it gets to here, which is, where is this? 11. That's 11. And it goes forever that way to positive infinity. So again, we had our quad. We needed to find the X-intercepts, so we just used our quad program to solve that. We got 11 and 6, so we put those X-intercepts on the X-axis. Then we looked at our sign. Do we want to know where that U shape is below the X-axis or above it? So since it was greater than, this time it wanted to know what was above it. Okay, let's look at number 3. X squared minus 4x minus 21 is greater than or equal to x minus 7. So again, it's another quad. Before I'm going to use my quad program, this side has to be a 0. Right, so this right here, I need to get rid of that, get rid of the minus 1. That's how you're going to turn that side into a 0. You're just going to knock all that stuff out. If I do that to the right side, I have to do the same thing over here. So this minus x, put it underneath its like term.
I think that's a 7.
It's a 7.
Did I do it again? I need to use these glasses. They're on top of my head. So it's x minus 7. So to knock it out, I need to get rid of the x. So I subtracted x to get rid of minus 7. I'm going to add 7. I'm going to do the same two things over on the left side. Make sure you line them up under their like terms. So this minus x needs to go under the other x. That plus 7 needs to go under this other constant. So I still have greater than or equal to. Now my right side is a 0. Over here, I've got x squared. Negative 4x minus 1x gives me negative 5x. Negative 21 plus 7 gives me negative 14. Now I can use my quad program to find the two solutions. So my A is 1. My B is negative 5. And my C is negative 14. So my two solutions are 7 and negative 2. So that's where this graph is going to cross the x-axis at negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at positive 7. Before I draw my U shape, I need to see if it's right side up or upside down. So it's positive x squared, so it's going to be right side up again. Now, what's my symbol? Greater than or equal to this time. So what does that mean? I'm going to have, remember, infinities always have parentheses. But if you have an equal to sign, that means that number that you're going to be putting there needs to have a bracket around it. So what it wants to know, greater than or equal to 0, which means above or below. Greater than, above. So it's above here, stops, goes below until it gets here, and then it goes above again. So I want to talk about those two intervals. That's where it's above the x-axis. So let's see. Where does it start? An arrow to the left means
Negative infinity.
negative infinity. Infinities always have parentheses. Now, when it gets to here, which one is that?
Negative 2.
It's negative 2.
And it's a bracket.
And that's where your bracket goes. Because it's greater than or equal to these two numbers. So you want to include that negative 2. And then in union with, that's where it starts and goes below until where's this next interval start?
7.
7,
But it's a bracket.
and 7's a bracket, until positive infinity. All right, number 4, x squared is greater than 81. So set it equal to 0 first. So subtract the 81 from both sides. Here's my greater than symbol. Zero's over there now. Those aren't like terms, so those are just two separate terms over here. X squared and minus 81. So it is quad, right? It is squared. Just be careful when you put in your A, B, and C this time. A is in front of the squared term, which would be 1. What's B? It's good. 0, right? Because there is no X. So your B is 0. Your constant is negative 81. When you put that in your quad, 1, 0, negative 81, what does it tell you? 9 and negative 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's the negative 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's positive 9. Now, before you draw it, make sure it's right side up, which it is. And just like the last several, it wants to know what's above the x-axis since it's greater than. So those two intervals are what's above. So it starts at negative infinity. It's above it until it gets to negative 9. Since there's no equal to symbol, it's going to be a parenthesis around that negative 9. And goes below all the way until it gets to positive 9. And then it's above forever to the right, to infinity. Right, number 5. $144 minus x squared is less than or equal to 0. So it's already set equal to 0. So that step is done. I can go ahead and pick out my A, B, and C. Just be careful. A is all, it doesn't matter where it is. A is the number in front of your x squared, which would be what? Negative 1. B is the number in front of x. I don't see an x, so it'll be 0 again. And C is my constant, which is positive 144. So if I put those numbers in, my A is negative 1, my B is 0, and my C is 144. There's my two numbers, negative 12 and positive 12. So there's my 0. The x-axis. So there's negative 12, there's positive 12, so there's my x-intercepts. When you draw your U this time, what's it going to be? Upside down, right? Because the x squared is negative. That's what makes it be upside down. So what does it want to know? Less than or equal to the x-axis, which means below the x-axis. So where is it below it? Right there. Once it gets to negative 12, it goes above it. Then it gets to positive 12 and it goes back below it. So I'm talking about those. Again, it's two intervals this time. Again, right? Because there's two separate spots that it's below 0. Where does it start being below 0?
Negative infinity.
Negative infinity.
To negative 12.
Right. And then it gets to negative 12 and it crosses and goes above. What does this mean? It's going to go around that negative 12.
Bracket.
A bracket. So then it goes above 0 until it gets to right here, which is positive 12 with a bracket. And how far is it below 0? Infinity, right? Forever. All right, number 6. X minus 169 minus x squared is less than 0. So again, it's already set equal to 0 for us. So let's type in our A, B, and C in the quad. So A is the number in front of x squared, which will be negative 1. B is the number in front of x, which is 26. And C is your constant, which is negative 169. What are your zeros? 13 and 13, right? What does that mean? If this is a U shape, that's its only x-intercept. Is the U upside down or regular?
Upside down.
Upside down. So what it's going to do, it's going to be, it's not going to cross through the x-axis, right? If the U was upside down and crossed through the x-axis, it would have to cut, it would touch it in another spot. Coming back down. So what this means is it's going to touch the x-axis there and come back down. That's its only x-intercept, which means if it's a U shape, it doesn't cross through the x-axis, it just touches it at 13 and comes back down. So that's what it means. If you type in your A, B, and C, and you get two solutions, right? But they're just the same thing. That means it's a U shape. That's its x-intercept is just a touch x-intercept, not a cross x-intercept. So let's see. What does it want to know? Where is it?
Less than.
Less than. Below the x-axis. It's below it everywhere except that one point. If this had this, it doesn't. But if it had that, it would be below it or equal to it from negative infinity to positive infinity, right? The whole thing would be below or equal. But since it doesn't have that, it's below it everywhere except this one point. So where does it start being below? Until it gets to 13.
13 to positive.
And then again, right, 13 to positive infinity. So everywhere except 13. All right, last one. I told y'all this section was short and sweet. X squared plus 18 is less than 3x. What else did I get right wrong? 18. X squared plus 18 is less than 3x. Solve it for x first, right? You need everything on one side set equal to 0. So I need to subtract the 3x. I'm going to put it in between those two terms, right? I like my x to come after my x squared, but before my constant. So there's my less than 0. Over here, I have x squared minus 3x plus 18. So something funny is going to happen on this one. My A is 1. My B is -3, and my C is 18. So let's put that in our quad and see what happens.
I already put it, Miss Hanson. Look.
What'd you get?
I put it in the right formula.
So you did. You did. So why? Oh, shoot, I just missed that one. I just pinned Will to be the
host.
The host.
The quad you installed in my calculator.
Oh, wait. Do y'all see Will big like me? Are you in Zoom?
I noticed that he, anytime somebody talks, it
I know,
blows
and I
them
know
up.
I can change that, but I don't know how. Oh, you know what? I didn't know that was happening. Y'all should have told me. I think I can change that.
So yeah, because every time, and then it doesn't go off until you talk. So if you're writing a problem and somebody else makes a sound and they don't have it muted, it blows them up so the rest of us can't see what you're writing until you talk
Oh,
again.
no.
I think you forget sometimes to turn it on.
Okay, there I am, back big. Okay, I'll need to figure out how to just make that not happen. Okay, so when I do put that in my quad, A is 1, B is -3, and C is 18, and hit enter, it gives me I answers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that mean? If I'm trying to, so what I'm looking for is the X-intercepts. If I get an I in my quad, that just means there aren't any X-intercepts, which tells me that this U doesn't cross the X-axis. Let's just look at it. Let's put that in our Y equals. So Y equals, clear it out, X squared minus 3X plus 18 oh, it's not even going to be in the standard view. I'm going to hit this zoom button. And then go down to that 0 and hit enter. So zoom fit. So that's what it does, is it kind of shows you where it would be. It kind of fit your graph to show that. So this looks like it comes down to the x-axis. I hate this problem kind of now because it looks like it touches it, but it actually doesn't. It wouldn't touch it. That's what those eyes mean, is that your graph is not going to touch the x-axis. So let's see. It's going to be an x squared graph. Let's just draw it and act like it looks like that, because the only thing I need to know is that it's right side up and that it doesn't ever cross the x-axis. So now, because here's my 0, what does it want to know? Where is this u? Where is the interval below, right? Less than 0. Is there anything below the x-axis? No. That's why this answer looks like this. It's called the null set. There's just not anywhere that it's actually going to be below 0 because it's a regular U shape with no x-intercepts, which means the whole U is above the x-axis. Okay? And when you're typing that in, one of the things that, you know, all the stuff that's down at the bottom, one of those will be that null set.
I don't know if my internet's something different, but this is what I put in the equation, but that's what I got.
That's it. It looks like x cubed. It's an x cubed graph. Oh, that is weird because it's an x squared. Hang on just a second. Okay, so I'm going to start support. Let me stop.